Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of We Got Next. I'm Rickey Hampton, along with former Milwaukee Bucks center Paul Mokeski, Coach Mo. Hope everybody is having a fantastic July 4th celebration. Long weekend. Glad you could check in tonight. Mo, we got a lot to talk about. And as I welcome everybody in, don't forget to check out this and all our other shows at believe.com, BLEAV.com, and anywhere you get your podcasts. You can get
Yeah,
We Got Next
we're
with
looking for
almost
comments, questions. Yeah,
Rickey Hampton. Mo, how you doing, big fella?
I'm doing good, man. It is a long weekend, which every weekend is for me because I'm retired. But Tuesday's a weird day, I think, for July 4th. But
Yeah, it
just want everybody to stay safe out there and don't get crazy with those fireworks, especially out here in the West where one firework can cause a big fire. So, just be safe out there. Don't blow your hand off. Come
Yeah, be careful, man, for sure.
on.
And Mo, speaking of fireworks, the NBA started the July fireworks off early on Friday with the start of free agency. Just some some amazing stuff going on out here, and we got all kind of talk about trading possibilities. Uh, Damian Lillard finally wants to leave Portland, and Portland is, I guess, okay with that now if they can get the right deal. You got some guys signing some just incredible contracts. I don't know where to begin.
Well, I mean, first of all, this is probably one of the most active free agent times that we've had in a long time. And part of that is because a lot of these free agents were actually unrestricted free agents or they had player options. So that means they could go where they wanted to go. And I think that caused a lot of movement. And there are also a lot of free agents that signed back with their teams. Thank goodness for the Bucks that they got Lopez back and Middleton, so they can make a run at it. And but I think it's been crazy the trading. Back in the day, most teams would never ever even think about trading one of their stars. I mean, you're not going to trade Isaiah Thomas. You're not going to trade, and you're just not going to do it. You're not even going to trade Scottie Pippen now. With Kevin Durant moving around and other players demanding trades and Kawhi Leonard moving around, and now it's not taboo anymore. So really, nobody on your roster is off limits anymore, and it kind of causes all this craziness because when there's availability for the big stars to move, that's only a chain reaction, a domino effect, because, if you move a big star, you got to compensate with a lot of players, and then you got to fill those spots, and then other spots have to get filled. So, everything is kind of crazy. But years ago, that's what the players wanted. I think that's kind of what the fans wanted, freedom of movement in the league. Well, you got it. And it's a little crazy out there.
Yeah. Hey Mo, we're going to get into uh, what you like, what you kind of question as these teams start to take shape. But just right off the bat, is it any one move that kind of like, man, this is pretty damn good here?
Well, I think on our last show or our We Got Next Plus, I went through the free agents that were out there that were interesting to me, about 12 of them, right? So now, if I look at my list now, in 3 days, all of them are almost gone. Draymond Green signed back with Golden State. Kyrie Irving signed back with Dallas. Westbrook signed with the Clippers. Fred VanVleet signed with Houston. D'Angelo Russell's going back to the Lakers. The shooters I mentioned, Strus and Seth Curry, they're all signed. Brooke Lopez and Chris Middleton re-signed with the Bucks. Dylan Brooks signed with Houston. Bruce Brown of Denver made a big move and he left. Kyle Kuzma left. And the Lakers re-signed Austin Reeves and Hachimura. That was on my list right here, the guys I'm looking to see where they go. The only couple of people still on that list are James Harden, who re-upped but wants to be traded, and then Christian Woods, the 7-foot center from the Dallas Mavericks, who I like. And if I was a team needing a big right now, like Golden State, hello, I'm going to look at someone like that to shore up my team and make a run at the championship. But really, like the re-signings are what impressed me, like Austin Reeves and Hachimura back to the Lakers. But also, if you look at what the Lakers did just recently, I got it here somewhere. So not only did they re-sign D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, Hachimura, 3 guys that are in their rotation. They got Cam Riddick, who's a good player, and then Gabe Vincent from Miami, who didn't do well in the finals, but was a key clog in them. The Lakers have done a really good job of making their team really, really viable for next year.
Hey Mo, here's a little list I have of some of the free agents that are still available. Some of these guys are restricted, like Grant Williams, the 6-man, 7-man for the Boston Celtics. Good defender, shoots the 3 pretty good. Christian Wood, as you talked about. PJ Washington from Charlotte, he's restricted.
Don't know who that is. Go ahead.
PJ Washington, 6'7" forward from Kentucky.
Yeah, good luck there.
Kelly Oubre, Plumlee. Well, Plumlee just re-signed with the Clippers. Good player, I like him. Matisse Thybulle, who's restricted. So the market is Lonnie Walker, who I thought played well with the Lakers. And as I speak, he signed with the Nets. Malik Beasley, Mo Bamba's out there.
Mo Bamba's restricted though, I think. So that's a team option, yeah. I could see the Lakers re-signing him, yeah.
So, I mean, these guys got gobbled up, man.
Yeah, really fast. You know, the well's empty now, gentlemen. I mean, you know, it's you know, the thing that's going to happen now is if there's a big trade like, you know, Harden or, you know, someone like that.
Miller is out there.
Yeah, that's going to change. That's going to shift some more because if you trade for a Harden or someone like that, you're going to have to throw in a lot of stuff to get that done, and then some of those parts will come back to you or someone will go somewhere else. But for the most part, everyone did their work in 3 days, re-signings and signings. You know, it happened in a flurry for sure.
And hey, you know, Robin is with his brother Brooke now.
That's a. So I'm sitting in the living room with our oldest son Michael, and we have our youngest son Brian who played too. And I asked him, "Would you?" Because that was a deal, by the way. No way the Bucks sign Robin if Brooks, his brother, doesn't say, "Hey, you need to sign him." Just like Giannis's brother is there too. You know, no offense, you know, good for them.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and I asked my son, you know, would you do that for, you know, your younger brother Brian? And he said, yeah. So that's what that was all about. I mean,
I totally agree with that. Our guy Steve Schroeder checks in. Says, first of all, it says 112 in Arizona. Brother, I hope your air is blowing cold for you tonight.
113 here, brother.
And he says, I want to be the 12th man on the team. Just pay me. I'll carry the bag. Hey,
Yeah,
brother, I am with you, man.
I mean, Steve, if I look back and I talk to agents, if I was playing like I was with the Bucks, I'm a backup center, rotation guy, I'd be making between 8 and 12 million a year. So,
Easy.
yeah,
Easy.
I know exactly what you feel. But you know what? I always tell players, you're worth what someone will give you. That's it.
Yeah.
So you can overvalue yourself and not get signed. You can undervalue, but the bottom line is you're worth what they will pay you. That's what you're worth. So more power to them.
And like Bruce Brown, I mean, 2-year deal, $45 million, and you know he started his career here in Detroit, barely made the roster, and just his hustle made him a favorite of Dwayne Casey. Got in the lineup, and Look what he's done from barely making the roster here in Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, and your Pistons did they made a trade today. I think you got Joe Harris from the Nets.
They got Joe Harris from the Nets, yeah,
Yeah, that's a good player. If he's healthy, that will help a lot.
for a couple of second round draft picks.
And
And,
you know what I feel about second round draft picks. That's that's like a two-headed nickel. Who cares?
I am totally with you. I am totally with you on that, Mo. Uh, uh, Steve is saying the Mavericks are losers in this whole deal. You get Kyrie. It, I don't like that pairing of those two guys, Paul.
To
Kyrie,
me, yeah, to
Luke.
me, that Kyrie is a fit for the Mavericks, just like Westbrook was a fit for the Lakers, in my opinion. I mean, Kyrie's a better player than Westbrook, better scorer, better all-around player. But Kyrie plays the same as Luka. Has to have the ball in his hands, over dribbles a lot, bad defender, poor defender, and they just went all in and signed him to. I think the deal is though it's a 2-year deal, so it's not like a 5-year killer that if you were the Suns, you're paying they traded him, but you're paying Chris Paul $40 million when he's 48 years old, whatever. So it's a short-term deal. So they're all in trying to make it happen in the next 2 years. But their roster, look at their roster. You're not better than Golden State. You're not better than Denver. You're not better than Phoenix. You're probably not better than Sacramento. You're probably with the pickup of Smart from Memphis. You're probably not better than Memphis, even with Ja Morant in trouble. So what are you doing, Dallas? Why are you spending all that money on them? It's
And,
mind-boggling.
and they're losing Christian Wood.
Well, they haven't lost him yet because he's a free agent, but they could because you spent your money. I mean, all these teams that are spending all this money. I mean, I'm looking at like the Phoenix Suns. They got Bradley Beal, really good. And now if you can get Ayton to play like he's supposed to play and not worry about getting his shots and just he can get 20 points a game just by running the floor and picking and rolling, not worry about that and rebound and block shots. You got got Booker, you got KD, you got Beal, and now you got Ayton. I mean, you could put me on that team and we'd be okay. The problem is you're going to have to put me on that team because between those guys, that's like $130 million. So you don't have any more money to play with. You got to go get guys for a minimum. So who's your bench players? And as we know, those are very important when you get to the playoffs.
Hey, I wanted you to break down a couple of guys for me, Mo. LaMelo Ball signed a $260 million extension in Charlotte. Well, actually, this is Bruce Brown. This is LaMelo Ball. Like I said, fun player to watch. And Charlotte just got Miles Bridges back today. He signed, I think, a 1-year deal with them, extension. He missed all of last year after his legal troubles. But is Ball a franchise guy?
Well, I guess we're going to find out because they're paying him like one. I mean, does he have franchise talent? Yeah, I mean, he can create. He's a great passer, as you see there. His jump shot's not great, but he can do that. The deal is you're going to pay him that kind of money, and he is the face of your franchise. Then who are you going to get to come play with him? That's key. He can't do it alone. You're going to be Charlotte out of the playoffs again. So what's the point? Unless you can get guys to come and want to play with him, which the way he passes, you might be able to. I mean, he's exciting to watch. He's a great show, but you got to win, right? Your opportunity is to win, not behind the back full court passes. You want to win games, and he's not going to get you there. Definitely not alone. And he's a better passer than scorer, so you need scorers around him. I mean, hell, if I was Charlotte, I would have focused on getting Strus or Seth Curry, or a shooter that can knock down shots left and right. Why not get one of those guys? And then I go try and get Woods. And now we got something to play with. Now we got a roster, you know. But I mean, if this is awesome, and I love it, and I love how unselfish he is. But he's also known as not a very good defender, even though he got a steal there. But you know, you gotta get players around him that if you want to win, you gotta win. So you know, if I'm the G, that's what I'm trying to get Seth Curry. I'm trying to get Strus, the shooters that can knock down shots, and I'm trying to get Woods as a rim protector. Now I got something.
Charlotte was 27-55 last year.
Yeah, so you pay a guy $260 million, and you're going to be 30-52, whatever you're going to be. I mean,
you know, now they played without Bridges, who was one of their better players. So that but even if you have them back, 5 more games, 5 more wins.
Yeah, so you know, you're not better than Miami, you're not better than Boston, you're not better than Milwaukee. You know, you can beat Toronto,
Philly, you're not better than Philly, you're not better than Cleveland.
Yeah, you're not better than Cleveland, who's an up and coming team, and you're not better than Philly. So, you know, I mean, you got to start somewhere, but you got to be smart. I mean, you know, if you want to get progress and you want to go from 27 wins to 38 wins or something, you need to add Seth Curry and Strus or someone like that, and then Woods. And now we can get in the first round of the playoffs and then maybe do some. Who knows? You know, we could be the Atlanta Hawks of a few years ago. Who knows?
Hey Mo, and I know you got Summer League coming out to Vegas, and you're going to watch Victor Wembanyama. What are reasonable expectations for him this year?
Yeah, like I said, you know, he's frail. He's got a small frame, all that. I mean, they had a picture of him somewhere on the internet. He was sitting in his locker room after his first practice with the Spurs, and he had his shirt off. I mean, he looked like a stick figure. But so he's going to take his beating. He's going to take his lumps. He's not going to be able to play Embiid and the Joker and Giannis and Lopez and, you know, all those guys. He's going to take a beating from those guys. He's got to stay positive. You know, he's going to make some threes. He's going to make some great plays. Hopefully, I would think. But one thing that scares me about him, he's a great shot blocker, by the way. That's where he's going to make his mark the first year. One thing that scares me about him is when I watch him play and I see his stats, not a very good rebounder. At 7'5" or 4 with 8 foot, it's not a very good rebounder because he gets pushed around in there. So, you know, but you're going to expect from him ups and downs, some great games, some really bad games. And just like the Dallas Mavericks had to put up with Dirk Nowitzki's first year, where players and fans and teams laughed at them. They laughed at the Mavericks and they laughed at Dirk because he struggled. But then you have patience, and you know, and it's going to take a year or two for him to get his legs under him and be as impactful as people want to think. I'm telling you right now, he's not going to average 30 and 10. He's not going to average 20. He's not going to do that. You know, so chill out, be patient. He looks like he has a great work ethic. You know, he's going to get overpowered by guys, but his skill level is off the chain. And, you know, I was talking to people, and I've been in this business, played for 12 years, coached for 23. You're looking at almost 60 years or 20, whatever it is, 50 years. There's only a few freaks I've seen, right? By freaks, I mean somebody that's not what you've never seen before. It's like, wow, look at that guy. You know, it's not Michael Jordan, it's not Larry Bird, it's not Magic Johnson. Those guys are unbelievable players and did things that a lot of people can't. But, you know, LeBron James, 6'9", 280, jumps out of the gym, runs like a deer. That's a freak. Shaquille O'Neal, 330 pounds of muscle, runs up the floor, can overpower anybody. That's a freak. Wilt Chamberlain back in his day, 7'1", 270, dribble between his legs, do all that stuff. That's a freak. There are not many of those guys in the league if you look at him, and he could be one because he's 7'3.5" without shoes, 7'5" with shoes. The reason people, you don't understand, The reason they measure players without shoes so they compare them to other players, because shoes these days can give you an extra inch or an inch and a half in your height. So if I want to see my height against yours, Ricky, we got to measure without shoes. Now, if you want to see what height I play in, you measure me with my shoes on. So, but he's 7'3.5" without shoes, 7'5" with shoes, 8-foot arm span, great touch, great timing, good attitude. So he's in that freak category. But he could, so I could see that happening, but it's going to take a while.
Just now, Mo, San Antonio was 22-60 last year. They get to 30 wins this year.
I need to look at the rest of their roster.
I know it's kind of early.
Yeah, they had young players. I don't know. It doesn't seem like they've done much in the free agent signing. Maybe we see a trade or something. But if they're going to get to 30 wins, they need. I'm sorry. They need some veteran guys on that team that can help Wembanyama come along. He's not going to give. Wembanyama's not going to give them 8 more wins. No, it's not. You know, he's going to help them. But you need some more help than that to get 8 more wins in this season. Yeah.
Gotcha. Hey, here, a good question from Steve, because we're talking about some of these huge contracts. Does NBA defer money like Major League Baseball? You know, we know Bobby Bonilla gets like $1 million every year around this time.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is, I don't know baseball rules. The difference in the NBA, when you sign a contract, that money, whether it's paid now or later, goes against your salary cap. So if you look at teams, salary cap is $136 million per team. Most teams are over that. There's another level at $168 million. A lot of the best teams are at or over that already. And then there's another shelf at $180 million per team. So if you're up in like the Warriors or guys like that, up around $180 million a year, and you get taxed on that, you're looking at paying almost $300 million in salaries for that year with tax, salaries and tax. So it's all a complicated thing, but you can't say, okay, I'm going to sign Christian Woods, right? I'm going to bring him in, and I'm going to pay him $2 million this year, and then $2 million the next year, and then $60 million the year after that. You can't do that. So you know, deferred money. I had deferred money back in the day where on my last contract, I had a 4-year deal with the Bucks, and I deferred $50,000 a year for 5 years after I was done playing to get that. So there is deferred money, but it's different. You can't hold it. It still counts against the salary cap, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, that does. Mike Jules checking in. Happy Independence Day. Be safe and stay cool. Thank you, Mike.
It's 115 here, Mike. I know how you feel.
Yeah. And he had another question. Were you in Dallas with Steve Nash? Yes, you were, weren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I was there 3 years with Steve. Maybe 4, I can't remember. Then he became a free agent, and one of the biggest mistakes the Dallas Mavericks ever did was not sign him as a free agent, and he ended up going to the Phoenix Suns. And the reason behind that, when I got there, it was Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, Mike Finley, and then we had a bunch of role players who were really good, and then we got better. If they would have re-signed Steve Nash, I'd have at least 2 championship rings on my desk right now, probably wearing them on my finger. But what they did is they evaluated Steve Nash's
his back.
Yeah, so he in their opinion, when they did the numbers, they were going to have to pay him $60 million, which isn't anything now, but it was big back then. But then they're going to have to pay another $60 million in salary tax, take him over $100 million to get him signed. And they evaluated his play that was going down a little bit, in their opinion, and his back, which was really, really bad. I mean, I remember watching him get stretched out after games, and it was painful. And he was in tears. It was so painful. So they took that evaluation and that chance. Unfortunately, they were wrong, because the next year Steve Nash was MVP of the freaking league, and he was that for back-to-back years. We actually beat the Suns and Steve Nash to get back to get to the NBA Finals against Miami. one of their players got hurt. I think I can't remember which one, but if Steve Nash was phenomenal. If he had Steve Nash, I have 2 championship rings. But yeah, I was there when he was there. Great player, great person.
Yeah, and a good coach who got in a bad situation.
He got a bad situation. He got the money now. He made I don't know, he made 30 million or whatever, and but he was in a lose-lose situation. He had that. What do you have? He had KD.
Kyrie.
No, he started. He had Harden, Kyrie, and KD, right?
Yeah.
So if you win a championship, you're supposed to. If you don't, it's your fault, and that's what happened when Kyrie went off the farm and KD wanted to trade and all that. So he was in a bad situation because he is a good coach. And I don't know if he'll get another chance, but he might.
Mike Drew said he's not missing that Vegas heat either, Mo.
Yeah, talk to me in February.
We'll hear you on that, Mike. Yeah, these guys, 22 wins to 60. That's asking a lot. Houston was 22-60, and they have been active in free agency and making some trades.
So that's one of the teams that is kind of under the radar now, because first of all, they hired Ime Udoka, the coach that was in Boston, and took them to the finals 2 years ago, and then messed up off the court and paid for it. Well, he's in Houston, and they went out and got 2 of the free agent guards in Van Fleet and Dylan Brooks. They signed both of them to give their backcourt really some good strength, and they actually John Landale, who's a big kid that can help them too. He's a 6'11" kid. They picked him up, and they did some things. I mean, Van Fleet was one of the most in-demand free agents out there. He only signed for $130 million for 3 years, which is $43 million a year, by the way. But he averaged 18 and 7 assists a game, and he's one of the guys. They picked him up, and then they put next to him Dylan Brooks, who has some skill level, and he's a tough son of a gun and competitive right next to him. So that's a backcourt that a lot of teams are gonna have trouble dealing with those guys. However, like I said, they don't have much. They drafted Amen Thompson, the 6'8" wing. That's probably not ready to play yet, but will have to play. And then Cam Whitmore, they also got him in the draft, and he's a big, but he's young. So, you know what? They're building. They have some. I mean, if I was them, I would go after Christian Wood. 6'11" big.
Christian Wood is he's probably the best player, the most impactful player still available with his ability to score. He can rebound and block shots.
Yep. And he's a big. He's a legitimate big.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a no-brainer. I don't know if they have any money left. I think they do because they don't have much of a bench anymore. They probably only have about 6, 7 guys now. So they'll probably pick up some older veteran. But if I'm them, I'm going after Christian Woods. They can put him with that group. Why not?
Mo, as a veteran of this league, a member of the Players Association, a member of the Retired Players Association, I know you're going to see a lot of these, a lot of your colleagues and former teammates and competitors out in Vegas this week at the Summer League. Do you think the conversation is going to surround some of these contracts? And will guys be happy to see what's happening with the league?
Yeah, well, most of the guys that we've had these conversations before, we have our meetings on next Sunday and Monday, and we have a cocktail party. We'll go see the Summer League, and we'll tell stories and lies. And most of the guys my age, that my first contract was $60,000, and for most of my year, I made $100,000 maybe, maybe some at the end, but. Everyone thinks that old guys like me are mad at the money they're making. No, we're not. I'm not. We're not. Nobody is, really. What we're concerned about is the legacy of the league. So, The way it's ref now, how soft it is, how many weak fouls there are, how much defense is not being played because they don't play defense or they're not allowed to play defense, and the off-court stuff that has bad reputation for the league. That's what guys my age, and you're talking from Dr. J to Bill Walton to Kevin McHale to Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan. You could go down the list. Shaquille O'Neal, who lives there now, and it's not concerned about the money and how much money they're making. It's concerned about the way the league is going, and we can't have the knockdown, drag out 80s. We can't do that. We understand that. However, you got to be able to let defense play defense, and give a little defensive edge. Every rule that's changed in the last 30 years has been to help the offense. So why don't you allow zone defense? Why don't you allow, like FIBA, like zone defense is allowed in every league in the world except the NBA. FIBA, college, allow that. Also, allow the FIBA goaltend rule where when the ball hits the rim, it's live. You can knock it off or tip it in. They should just change that and do that. It'll help the game. So, and the off-court stuff of, giving so much money to so many young players, and a lot of them do great things, and a lot of them just don't know how to deal with the money, and they're around wrong people and getting wrong advice, and that's the more concern. Money is, like I said before, you're worth what they'll pay you, So that's, when we sit around and talk, we talk about flagrant ones and twos. What a joke, because before we played no layup rule in the playoffs, and you went to the free throw line, shot your free throws, and that was it. And the way the game has changed. A lot of guys are upset with how much the 3-point line is being used. I'm not one of those, but it's not about the money at all.
Yeah. Hey, and Mo, if you allowed the FIBA rule with the ball around the basket, that eliminates a call that the refs have to make, right?
Well, it's you can't. When the ball hits the rim, it's live. It's not live before it hits the rim, so you can't hit it on the downslope, on the downward arc. So that's still a call you have to make, but it'll eliminate the call of, was it on the rim? Was it off the rim? You'll eliminate that, and it adds some excitement because tip dunks will happen. And when the G League uses that, the D League, when I coached there, used it. The D League, G League's been using it for 15 years, and it really doesn't affect the game. You would think, well, guys will just, the ball hit the rim and they'll knock it off, and it doesn't. You have to have great timing to do that, and it doesn't really happen because the game's not played that way. Bigs don't sit underneath the rim and hope it hits the rim. So I think they should do that and allow regular zone one out.
And Mo, what is your problem with today's officiating?
Well, I'm watching Summer League right now with Michael, my son, and Linda. He does the same comments I do. How is that a foul? How is that a foul? And you see the replay. It's like, how is that a foul? And no one touched anybody. The guy was off balance. He fell down. That has to change along with the flopping. So and they're going to try and clean that up because trying to sell your call is one thing, but flopping and affecting the flow of the game is something different. So and trying to trick the refs. I mean, we all did it, but falling down and grabbing your head when no one hit you, or making a big thing like you were shot and fall on the ground and someone hit you on the shoulder. I mean, come on, man. So those two things, the flagrants are out of hand. You got to protect the players. Actually, back in the day, and it should be now, players protect players. You know what a hard foul is and what a dirty foul is, and what a foul is, possibly hurt somebody. Don't do that. Now, sometimes when they're off balance and they land, it's not, and they land funny, that doesn't mean it was a flagrant. That means they landed funny, But that's the thing. So many fouls now, I just look and go, how is that a foul?
Is that a performance issue on the officiating? That they are.
I mean, I believe so. I mean, it comes from the top, and sometimes referees overreact, Because let's face it, when you got big athletic guys running around, running into each other, and normal human beings like referees that are 5'9", 5'10", 6 foot are in the middle of that, sometimes they overreact to contact or the sound of contact. I mean, if when I played, if you ran into me, it sounded pretty bad. Doesn't mean I fouled you. Maybe I was just standing there. So, but it has to come from the top. Along with flopping, it has to come from the top. Listen, let's look at these. That's not a foul. And just because he fell down, that's not a foul. And you got to really monitor that way. Or, I mean, let's look at, they finally addressed, how many years have we dealt with three-point shooters shooting the three and falling down on their own? Look at college. That's all they do. So, if I was training players and I was training a shooter, I said, you need to learn how to shoot the three and make them and fall down. And then get back up and play defense. Because sometimes you're going to get 4-point plays, even though no one touched you. So they clean that up, but then you can't get your foot under when they're landing. And, they cleaned up the kicking out of the foot, all that stuff, trying to clean that up. Why can't you clean up ticky fouls that go into the basket? Or you run into a big guy like me and hit me in the chest, and my hands are straight up, and now that's a foul on me.
And Mo, Sacramento was one of the surprise teams last year. Had just a great season. Had a epic playoff loss to the Golden State Warriors, but took them 7 games. They were 48-34. Sabonis signed an extension, 5 years, $217 million. He was a key.
It's only $22 million a year, by the way. That's peanuts in today's game.
He averaged 19 and 12 for them. Do you like them keeping him around long term? And what does that do for the Kings going forward?
Well, I think they've done a great job in putting together a roster, makeup-wise. They got Fox, Sabonis, Herter, Holmes, Monk, Murray, Mitchell. They got a core of guys together. Now they're paying Fox $32 million. They're paying Sabonis $22 now. Herter's at $14. But other than that, those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys are only making $104 million total. You're still $30 million under the cap. So they put together with 8 guys a team that's respectable and is growing. Now they can add. I'm sorry, they should call Christian Woods up. Right? I mean, come on. Now you got a center. You got a big play next to Sabonis. They can play together. Sabonis can play the 4, and now but they have the cap space to do that. Where let's look at the Phoenix Suns. KD's making $48 million. Booker's making $36. Ayton's making $32. And Beal is making $46 million next year. That's $162 million for 4 players. That's 4 players. They have nobody else on the roster right now. No one's signed. They have 4 players. That's all they have. So, and you look at Sacramento has 8 players, and they're at 104. They made the playoffs, and now they can add a couple guys. So.
Well, Steve says Steve Schroeder says he's available for that 12th spot. Yeah, I'm available for that 10th spot.
Yeah, sorry guys, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
Now you can play.
In Sacramento they also re-signed Harrison Barnes, a good veteran player for them.
Yeah, so they're on the right. You guys, if you want to be the 10th and 12th guy, you got to go to to the Suns, because they don't have any money to pay anybody else. So maybe you can make that roster.
Oh my goodness!
But Sacramento is doing it the right way and building slowly. If they keep the course and add a couple key pieces, they can even get better next year and then grow into that. Because with Fox and Sabonis are locked up, those are your 2 main guys. You can do some stuff now.
And we talked about him earlier. I want to throw him back up there. Denver losing Bruce Brown. How big is that?
That's huge because you got Jamal Murray and you got the Joker 1 and 2. That's great, but their other role players are the ones that came through for them, right? Michael Porter Jr. came through for him. Mann came through for him. Christian Braun came through for him. Brown.
KCP.
Yeah, they all came through for him. I guess, Bruce Brown, he was one of them. He was the main one. He's athletic. He can make threes. That's a big loss for them. I don't know if they can replace that. They got to go. They got to go find someone to replace that, or they're going to go backwards. I don't think they'll fall back like Atlanta did a few years ago, but they have a chance to go back instead of being one of the top teams in the West, being 4 or 5. With that guy can do that to that team.
Yeah, but Mo, you still got to deal with the Joker when you come see these guys.
Yeah, so you need a big that can deal with them. But I mean, if they didn't have Bruce Brown, they wouldn't have won the They wouldn't have won the championship.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, so he's more of a piece than people think, and they're gonna miss him dearly. Because guess what? He does things that the Joker doesn't do, and that Jamal Murray doesn't do, and none of the other guys do. So.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Let me get everybody caught up. You're watching. We got next with Paul Mokeski. I'm Rickey Hampton. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. We're heading down the home stretch here. We hadn't talked about Damian Lillard's status here. I've heard people say that Portland should have tried to do this a long time ago.
Yeah, so a lot of people think that, and they could be right. Not for Portland, for Damon, right? I mean, if they looked at it a long time, look at that range, that's ridiculous. Obviously, he'll make any team an instant contender if you have the right people there to fill in. If he goes to Miami and they keep Bam and Butler and their core there, and if Miami, because that's where he wants to play, I guess. So if I'm Miami, I could give up, 3 first-round picks, whatever they have. I can give up Tyler Hero. I can give up, Caleb Martin, and I can make that move because I can keep those guys together. We can fill those spots. They lost Strus, their shooter, but they can compensate. And you put him with Bam and Butler, now you got a legitimate shot, because he will start. Kyle Lowry will back him up. But you need to get, in my opinion, even if they get Lillard, Miami needs a legitimate big, to let Bam play the power forward, or you're never going to beat Denver, let alone, you're not going to beat the Bucks. They just signed Lopez. You're not going to beat them. So, even if they got Lillard, which is a ton of money now, he's going to make, in 3 years, he's going to be making $63 million a year, by the way. So you got to get a big Christian Woods. I mean, come on, man.
He can fit. You need to be his agent, Paul.
6'11", rim protector, shoot the 3, really athletic. Hello, who doesn't need that? I don't, But like I'm saying, Miami could make that big move and get Damian Lillard, and I've heard people say, give up Duncan Robinson also, and you can't do that because you'll have nothing left for Damian to play with. You have 2 other guys, so but that could be good for both teams.
Well, Paul, I read this afternoon. He said Miami's the only place he wants to play. I think that you're hurting yourself when you say that.
Yeah, why? I don't understand. Unless you have a no trade in your contract, I don't know if he does. Most players don't have a no trade clause in their contract. So why are you demanding to go to one team anyway? Because okay, so we don't want to talk to Milwaukee. We don't want to talk to Philly. So we do a Harden switch with you, and you go play with Embiid. We don't want to do that. And Maxey and other good players, or I don't understand why you would say that. I mean, it could be a negotiation tactic or whatever. But unless he has a no trade, guess what? You don't have any say in where you go. I've been there, done that. So, I know that there's a love affair with Portland, and he stuck it out longer than he thought. But guess what, people? He's made over $400 million. He's, don't play the violin for him.
Yeah, really.
I mean, shoot, but and there's very few teams out there that can be contenders and give up enough to keep staying contenders with him, and actually pay the structure of the salary cap. I mean, I think he makes 50 million or 49 or whatever this year.
Hey Mo, we only got a few more minutes left. What have you liked so far? What have you not liked? I know you Porzingis going to Boston. You were telling me about that.
Yeah, I know that was a tough string for them to pull. To let Marcus Smart, who's been the heart and soul of that team, Defensive Player of the Year. It's tough to give that up, but they knew that to make it the next step and get past, the Phillies and the Bucks and possibly the Denvers, they can't have Al Horford as their 5.
Yeah, he's 37.
Yeah, so can he be a backup? Yeah, he can't be your main guy. And for whatever reasons, Robert Williams III never worked out. So it just never worked out, and they moved on from him. So you need a big. Porzingis let a lot of people down and wasn't the unicorn people thought. But guess what? He still averaged 19 and 11 last year. He's still a good player. He's 7 foot, stretched the floor. He's a decent rebounder, okay shot blocker, and he's a legitimate 7-1. So, you're looking at your roster, you have Tatum and Brown. What are you going to do? What else are you going to do? Well, that's where your weak spot is, at the center. It was there all along. So I think that's a good move. I think that will help them. They will miss Smart on the defensive end, but that'll help them in the long run. Though the move I couldn't understand is why Dallas re-signed Kyrie Irving. That's mind-boggling to me. He doesn't fit with Luka. It doesn't. He's a great player, but we all know what he does off the court. You never know. He might not show up at practice because he thinks the Earth is square now. So you'll never know if he's going to be there. When he's on the court. But guess what? They had him for 28 games and they didn't make the playoffs. When they brought him in, and Luka was hurt and those guys hurt, I understand that, but they were in like third spot.
Yeah.
Third spot.
Yeah.
And after that trade, they dropped out of the playoffs. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't understand that move and that money move because, Kyrie, if they wanted to, extend him the whole way and try and trade him and get something for him. But that's a move I don't understand. The Chris Paul to Golden State, I like it better than most people like it. I think he will fit in there. I don't think he's going to play a lot of minutes, especially during the season. But he's a guy in the fourth quarter at the point guard position that will take the pressure off of Steph Curry, and he can do his thing. And he's never got to the finals or made that last jump, but he's never had a group like this around him, especially since they signed Draymond Green.
But Mo, okay, if Chris is there coming down the stretch next year, they're going to be awful small if they're going to have their best players out there. Clay, Chris, Steph, and Draymond.
Yeah, you can't do that, so you got to have Looney in there again. Who's an undersized 5, but he makes a little bit of that. Once again, you need to get a big player. I mean, you need to get a big body. So you know what? I'm not saying this guy is the guy, but you got to find a Dwight Howard guy. Find a Dwight Howard guy. I don't know what that name is out there, but you got to find that guy so you can be big when you need to be. And Christian Woods, again, his name comes up. Probably not that guy. There's a Vukovic that played for Miami. He actually sat on the bench that I'm watching now. I told people about him when they were in the series against Denver. I said they should play him. He's 7 foot, 260 pounds. They got a great body. I just watched him score 20 points and get 13 rebounds in a summer league game. Now it's summer league, but you watch him move and his body. That's the type of player Golden State should be looking for.
Hey, you know what? I'm so glad you mentioned that, Paul. How should we take in these summer league games?
Well,
I'm
there's
a Piston fans. I watch the Pistons and some kids that has 25 that I've never heard of.
Yeah, usually the rule is, and when I was coaching in the NBA, if your team won the summer league, you were in trouble. If you won the summer league, you're a bad team because you got all your younger players playing and you're drafting, so that's one thing. The second thing is for guys that have been around, I take those numbers with a grain of salt because they're playing against draft picks and younger players now. But I want to see how they move and if they can shoot under pressure. How you really evaluate it is with the younger players, the rookies. They're 19, 20 years old, and now they're playing against some men now, like the Thompson twins that went 4 and 5. They've been playing against high school players. So now you're going to be in a summer league playing with some NBA guys, some overseas guys, some young guys. This is the real deal. So let's see how you do now. And that's what I'm looking for. And the speed of the game. I mean, when you saw Steph Curry, guys like that play in the summer league here in Vegas, you were like, oh, okay, I see that. But they have certain skills, the way you can shoot and stuff. So you kind of take it with a grain of salt, but you want them to perform well, and you don't want to discourage a young guy, 19-year-old, that gets abused in the summer league by some guy that nobody ever heard of that's probably playing in Spain somewhere. Because that player's probably pretty darn good.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Mo, before we get out of here?
No, I think the summer league is going to be interesting. It started off tonight in Sacramento. And like a lot of these teams, like the Suns, that have made some moves, but they have roster spots to fill, like 5 or 6 roster spots. So they're looking for guys. I think the Kings just signed a 6'11" kid. He's about 27 years old. That's been playing in Greece, and he's a pro. And he was MVP of the EuroLeague this year. He can fill a roster spot, right? For real, he can play next year. So that's what a lot of these teams are looking for. And there's going to be some people that perform. You're going to see. I'll see Wembanyama play Friday here. If I want to stay around and fight the crowd, I'm actually going to see my friend Chris Finch's Minnesota team play in the afternoon. And we'll see how packed it is. But it's going to be interesting because they'll have 12,000 people at the summer league game to watch him play, and it's going to be interesting how he reacts and who he plays against. And Chad Holmgren, remember we've been talking to him about him for a year now. He's actually playing in the summer league.
They're playing right now.
Yeah, but I don't.
I got to score over.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So those type of guys, he's been hurt. So is he equal? But the Damian Lillard trade, the James Harden possible trade, those are big things that are still going to happen in the next 2 weeks probably, and that can make some big changes in some big teams, and someone like OKC can make a move. They got like 800 draft picks, and they're really young and talented. They can make a move and change everything. And so it was fireworks pre-July 4th for 3 days. There's still some fireworks to be had here in the next couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, we still got some show. And thanks to everybody tuning in. Thanks for the compliments, guys. Hey, one more before we go. Anthony Edwards, $260 million extension in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a good young player, Mo. I mean, I'm not saying he's not.
Yeah, so they're locking him up, and he needs to grow. He needs experience. He showed it in the playoffs. He had some great games. We had some bad games. Their big decision in Minnesota is they're two bigs, and they have to decide if they're going to keep them both or move one. But I'm telling you, you got to stop the old man attitude. Get off my lawn, Ricky, because these guys are going to make $250 million.
I have no problem with it. I really don't. I really don't. But I just
It's mind-boggling. It is.
yeah, it's mind-boggling because the impact that some of these guys have doesn't quite match the money. But you know what? Maybe in 3 years, 260 million won't seem like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Magic Johnson signed the first $1 million contract when he was a Laker, a 10-year $1 million contract. After the fourth year, he was underpaid. So, eventually, like I told it, if I don't even know if you can do this anymore. I think they took that rule out. But one rule that Patrick Ewing had that he signed his contract with when he was with the Knicks is no matter what, after every year, I need to be a top 5 paid player in the league, no matter what. So that was in his contract. So 4 years from now, I was making $10 million last year, and now there's 20 people making $10 million or more now. You got to up my salary. I think they've taken that clause out, but besides that, teams are overpaying everybody.
Yeah. Hey,
I wish I was one.
You know what? I'm going to see my grandson this weekend. I was going to take my golf clubs, but I'm going to take a basketball.
There you go. Yes. Take a basketball.
I'm going to bring him out and let him see you, Mo.
Teach him how to shoot a 3, fall down, drive to the basket, run into somebody, fall down. Teach him that stuff. That will get him somewhere.
Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. You can catch this show and all our past shows at thelead.com or anywhere you get your podcast. Have a great 4th of July. For Paul Mokeski, I'm Rickey Hampton. Peace, everybody.
Great show, Rick.